Okay, we're back. Let's talk a little bit about assets that you can protect or things that can't be taken from you if you file a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So what are they called?
These are called exempt assets.
That sounds boring. Let's just call them stuff that the trustee can't take from you.
I like that.
Okay, what property is protected? The number one answer is
Your house.
homestead. Anything, it's the same thing. Anything
It's always got to contradict me.
that you own in Arizona that you live in that is a site-built home, that is a condo, a townhouse, an association, mobile home, and a mobile home with the land upon which it resides. Gosh, I'm starting to sound like the statute all over again. These are things that are protected. Up to how much?
$150,000 of equity.
Equity. What's equity?
Meaning $150,000 over what you owe on it. So if you have a $500,000 house and you owe $400,000 on it, how much equity do you have?
I'm in the wrong neighborhood, but it's $100,000 equity.
There you go.
In my neighborhood, if you have a $175,000 house and you owe $75,000 on it, then your equity is the same number, $100,000. We make all of our math examples simple in this course. Okay, the equity is the difference between what you owe on something and what it's worth. So if you owe $150,000 on a home and it's worth $175,000, you've got $25,000 equity. If you owe $175,000 and it's worth $130,000, then you have a negative $45,000 equity, and all the homesteads in the world will not protect your negative equity in a home because who owns it?
The bank.
The bank still. That's right. Okay, so the homestead exemption is the biggest exemption. Arizona has a pretty aggressive exemption statute. However, there are more favorable states to have an exemption in. For example,
Nevada.
Nevada, our neighbor to the north and the west. We can exempt.
If you want to go really big, you go to Texas or Florida.
Hey, we're in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. Let's go to Florida. In Florida, anything that you have on a certain one parcel of property, it can be the Taj Mahal if you want, and you could exempt it. We're not recommending that you move to Florida or to Nevada or necessarily to Texas. Not that they're bad places. Well, I visited them all, but your homestead exemption in Arizona, remember it's important that you are either residing in that property or that you have resided within that property in the last 10 years. So you could be renting the property out and still claim your homestead in it, but once you've been removed from that property for more than 2 years, then it's no longer your homesteadable asset. Okay. Could you exempt, JC, a vacant piece of real estate?
Do you live on it?
Yes, I do. I have a tent.
Well, if it's your homestead, no.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. You're starting to worry me there. I'm going, how do I get out of this one? On the record, you're an idiot. Okay, JC's right. You have to have a dwelling structure on there or a mobile home on there. You can't just simply be living in a tent down by the river. No, that's a van, isn't it? Okay, we've been talking about real estate exemptions, but now let's talk a little about personal property exemptions. Now, what's the difference between real estate and personal property?
So real estate is land.
Yeah.
Personal property is not.
Yeah, that's a pretty simple definition. I leave the easy ones for JC. Tell me your favorite piece of personal property that we can exempt.
Well, I think the one that most people are concerned with when they come in is the thing they use to get to work. That's the vehicle.
Their vehicles, yeah.
What are you thinking, their horse?
Their shoes, their horse, their buggy. Yeah.
Horses are on there too, but let's talk about that in a minute. So vehicle, car, yes, you can exempt up to $6,000 for yourself. If you're filing you and your spouse jointly, which you can do in a bankruptcy, you can combine those and protect up to $12,000 in a vehicle. Or you can each protect $6,000 in two separate vehicles. You can't split them up though, so if you had 4 vehicles, you couldn't take that $12,000 and do 3, 3, 3, 3. They're whole chunks of $6,000 that you can allocate. And if you are disabled or if you have a dependent that's disabled, that exemption goes from $6,000 up to $12,000.
If you're physically disabled.
Physically, thank you.
Because
if you're me, you're still stuck with the $6,000.
Well, being bald is not a disability.
Well, so you say.
Okay. So the $12,000 exemption is limited to one motor vehicle. Again, like JC had indicated, we can't split that up among a $9,000 car and a $3,000 car. Motor vehicles aren't the only things of personal property that are exemptable in Arizona. Now remember, exemptable means protectable. means the creditors can't come and take it, nor can a trustee in bankruptcy come and take it. And we're going to talk about the trustee in a later interview. So what else is exempt?
Household goods.
Household goods, which is stuff that you would use around your house.
Hey,
Okay?
I was wondering where the name came from.
There we go. You can protect, each person can protect up to $6,000 worth of household goods that they own. So again, in JC's example, if you're filing bankruptcy jointly, you and your spouse could each exempt $6,000. That's $12,000 worth of beds, dressers, coffee tables, end tables, couch, love seat, washer, dryer, refrigerator, stereo, television. Wait, grandfather clocks. Okay, your turn.
Well, what about typewriters?
Typewriters are not exemptable under household good. And the reason is because that particular statute, trying to catch me here, says you can protect these household goods unless you can exempt them under this statute unless they are exemptable under another provision of Arizona's exemption statutes.
So are you saying my typewriter's not protected?
I'm saying it's not protected as a household good,
But it is protected.
as a miscellaneous asset. And so there are things that are protectable as a miscellaneous asset that are not household goods, like your dog or a pet. There's a dollar limitation on that. Your musical instruments, also dollar limitation. Your clothing,
Your family Bible.
bicycle.
And just newly added,
You can protect a home computer that you use to surf the web, that you use to find out what how your kids are doing in school, that you use to find medications for your children, and you search for jobs. Lots of great reasons why the Arizona legislature has recently added home computers. They, up until just a month and a half ago, they weren't protected.
amazing.
But
So-
we've left off the most important thing as a red-blooded American. You're entitled to protect or exempt in Arizona one firearm
each
per person.
per person.
Okay. So what other personal property is out there that you it's intangible, you can't touch it?
So one of the key things is bank accounts. So you are allowed to protect each person $300 in one bank account. There are also some other things. So there are exempt or excluded. We kind of just talk about everything in terms of exempt, but money in retirement accounts, most retirement accounts are going to be fully exempted, fully excluded from the bankruptcy estate. Social Security benefits they're not exempt, they're excluded, but they're not part of it. Some amount of or life insurance proceeds.
Yep. Somebody has passed away and left you as a beneficiary. It's a woefully low number at this point. $20,000 worth of life insurance proceeds are exemptable or protectable. Cash value life insurance policies are protectable as long as you've named as your beneficiary your spouse or your sibling or your parent.
And you've had the policy for at least 2 years.
You can also exempt, one of my favorite is you can exempt your, my favorite, but I can't remember how to say it, prepaid rent or security deposit. Thank you. That's what I was trying to
There we
come.
go.
Up to $2,000. Oh, back in the miscellaneous tangible personal property, we forgot to mention wedding or engagement rings. Protected. Used to be $1,000. Now it's up to $2,000 per individual. So this doesn't completely cover the exemptable or protectable assets, things that you get to keep that the trustees can't take, your creditors can't take, but it's a start. It's real important before you make any decisions on what you're going to do, especially don't transfer any assets away until you come in and speak to us first.
Because there are some very important things that most people have, or a lot of people have, that we didn't talk about. And if you file a bankruptcy without understanding those, you will likely lose them, like a business or a tax refund.
Oh, wait, don't tell them all.
Oh.
There's 7 secret things they don't want you to know. Please stay tuned.